start by having a look. Who's on the show tonight? Who's in my green room? Here's who we have. We've got the original and the best celebrity chef, ladies and gentlemen, the Michelin star man himself. It's only Gordon Ramsay. There he is. Always a pleasure to have Gordon on the show. Also on the programme, she's a multi-platinum selling mezzo-soprano superstar, Catherine Jenkins, ladies and gentlemen. Lovely to see you here, Catherine, of course. With them on the programme tonight, my favourite TV traveller and founder member of the greatest comedy troupe of all time, Monty Python. It's Michael Palin. Yes, it's you. And, if that weren't enough, we have a Hollywood star and one of Britain's finest young actors. It's the lovely Carey Mulligan. Hello, Carey. Thank you for coming on. And if you like your music loud and rock and rolly, then we have a treat for you. We have music tonight from the mighty Kasabian. Kasabian, playing live. Hello, fellas. Look at that. It's like One Direction after a very long weekend. Here's my favourite story of the week, ladies and gentlemen. Genuinely, a Sussex farmer has disguised his car as a sheepdog to round up his flock. Here it is. Have a look at the photograph. There it is. Isn't it? Because the sheep, not only do they respond to a dog, but that's the biggest dog I've ever seen. Would you like to see it in action? We have some footage. Look at this. This is him using it. There you go. That's pretty good, isn't it? Let's get my first guest out, ladies and gentlemen. He is the kitchen colossus who has dedicated his life to his two great passions, cooking and swearing. Will you please welcome the one and only Gordon Ramsay. You're looking taller. Come and sit down, come and sit down. It's great to have you back on the show, Gordon.
Great to be here. Nice to see you.
Well, it's nice to have you here. You're looking well, you're looking trim. You've just come back in the country from America, I think, is that right?
That's right, just come back from LA.
Do you live there now, or do you live there part of the year?
No, still live here in London. Just spend a lot of time out there.
OK, because I guess the family, I guess they all have their roots here. You want to be where the kids are.
Yeah, very much.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that you haven't left us. You are looking great. Isn't Gordon looking great?
Thank you.
I'm glad the hair was finally settled down, because... Because, no...
That's 30 seconds.
That's a nice thing to say. It's looking good. The hair's looking good, because I know you were experimenting with your hair for a while, it seemed to me.
Yeah.
OK, you had a couple of cuts that didn't work so well.
That's shocking.
Let's have a look. Whoa, there we go. That's when he was in Boyzone.
Bad.
OK.
Bad.
That's a weird one there.
That's a shocker.
Because you've got a lot of restaurants, but presumably some of them don't have mirrors in the bathroom. Would that be... That's a war. There we go. That's when you've been out on a night on the tiles with David Beckham, that is, isn't it? It seemed like a good idea at the time.
That's a bad one.
But now it's looking great.
Yes, finally, thank you.
It's settled down.
Can we move on now?
Yes, we can.
Please.
OK.
Thank you.
Let's start with... let's talk about the food, but not the preparation of the food so much as how do you stay trim and in shape when you are working in and visiting and, indeed, you know, own a considerable chunk of some of the most wonderful restaurants on the planet? Yeah. You know, it must be the temptation to eat must be there.
Yeah, I mean, chefs are really bad at eating because we don't get a chance to sit down and have dinner before you cook dinner, so I just graze all day long. About 3 or 4 times an hour. Taste.
So little mouthfuls?
Small mouthfuls.
OK, yeah. But do you never want the full experience?
You know what it's like when you've eaten, and, you know, you clearly eat a lot, and so it's... what I'm trying to say is you don't feel that energised after eating. Oh. You know what it's like.
Let me ask you about, actually, you go to a gym. You work out at a gym, or you have a gym at home?
No, I sort of work out a little bit here and everywhere, depending where I am. I'll take my Speedos, trainers... Come on, Speedos, they're British, right? You
can't wear Speedos. A man of your age and size. Come on. You can't wear Speedos. They're for, like, a young man. No, Harry Styles in Speedos.
Oh,
everyone goes, well done, Harry. You come out, it's like, oh, my God, who pulled a ripcord on that
Hold on a minute. What? You have a pot belly, I have a flat belly.
Let's get that right. There's just more of me to love, but I wouldn't put it into Speedos.
The purpose of Speedos is I can swim slicker through the water. So there's...
The purpose of Speedos is to attract other gentlemen. That's what the purpose of Speedos is.
That's not right.
Well, it works, though.
So what would you wear? You'd just wear, like, a costume?
I know, I swim naked.
Oh, jeez. You can't do that at
otherwise
55.
I go too fast. I need something for drag. Put the anchor down, have a little relax. Hold it up again, off we go. Okay, so, but you are... this isn't just for your own health as well. I know you've got a big event coming up, haven't you?
Yes, that's right, yeah. I mean, we launched the Gordon Ramsay Foundation at the beginning of the year, so in association with cancer research. And then next summer, we're doing a Gordon Ramsay 100. So it's an Ironman up in Staffordshire. A
full Ironman or...?
It's a 70.3.
What's that? What?
So it's a half an Ironman.
A half Ironman, a demi-Ironman.
Yeah, it's still a good one to do.
And which charities does that benefit? It's not just cancer research,
That's
it's
right.
ones.
Women's Aid, Scottish Fund of Bifta as well, which we're patrons of. And this is a big target over the next 2 years to raise a few million and put back into those charities. So the purpose of talking to you about swimming trunks, because I'd like to invite you to participate in the Ironman.
Wow.
Come on. Come on. I think you can do it.
What is that?
So it's a 70.3, so it's a 1.5k swim. Mile
Hold
swim.
it, what's that? I don't know what a K is. What's a mile swim?
A mile swim.
Okay. A mile swim?
A mile swim.
How long does that take you?
24, 25 minutes.
Wow. So
yeah.
I'll do it in about 15. OK, what's the rest of
it? It's a 90k bike ride, 60 miles. And then a little half marathon at the end of it.
How far is that? 13 miles?
13.1 miles.
How long does that take you to do?
About 127, 128 on a good day.
Wow, that long.
So
Hold it, I don't know. I think that might kill me. I think I could do the swimming, right? Maybe.
Right.
I think I could do the bike ride.
Right.
But then I would want to have a nap. Or maybe...
I'll do the run for you, and just think the achievement in your mid-50s to do an Ironman. Come on, seriously.
Okay.
I mean, please.
So I need and I know the way this works.
Yes.
I knew what you were doing, because obviously I have to buy the gear, people who want to take part, because you're inviting other people to take part.
Yeah, we have the most amazing athletes, top British athletes, helping participate in this thing.
So you get some help with the training?
Oh, my goodness me, yeah, big time.
But then, when is this?
Next June.
Oh, I'm busy.
Think about it. Think of the achievement.
Yes, it's quite some achievement, and I'm proud of you for doing it.
I know. An Ironman in your 50s. Come on, with the kids,
okay.
It sounds great.
You know what? I'm going to try and do it. I will try and do your marathon.
Thank you very much.
See if we can raise even more money for your charity.
Love it.
OK.
Thank you. I'll help you.
Let me ask you a serious question about you and your life, because I know your dad died when he was a young man.
Yes.
Too young to die, and he was a drinker, wasn't he?
53, yeah,
okay.
Sadly.
Your brother, one of your siblings, has problems involving substances.
Yes.
You've tried to help him over the years.
Yeah, many times.
But you're not... Are you in contact with him now?
It's hard. I mean, every time we sort of see him, God bless him, it sort of reopens those wounds, I think, really. Like any addict, they live for the day, and each day is a challenge. So, you know, sometimes you've got to be a little bit stronger than the previous time, and I suppose introduce tough love, and they've got to hit rock bottom before they want to get out of that scenario. So I think it's more painful from the outside for Mum. Yeah, he's my little brother. Yes, there's 15 months between us, but here our lives have just gone sort of left and right.
Well, they couldn't be more different, could they?
Yeah, I mean, there's not a day that I never think about him, but it's just, you know, once you put him on the rails, and I suppose with the foundation now and looking at, you know, a dreadful disease like cancer, unfortunately, when you get diagnosed, you don't have a choice. I think you do have a choice when you use drugs. So we always clash, and it's hard. It's hard to get back to that sort of ground zero. And we had bunk beds. We grew up together. So to see him now like that, it's tough, I think.
But I guess that is one of the things, would I be right in thinking, that drives you in both your charitable work, but also in your own fitness and in your own trying to show your children what you've achieved?
Like I said, as a parent, you've got to set that example, but you know, it's hard. But I'm in many ways, I get a little bit sort of upset, but I'm running away from it. So it's close to me, but you stay focused on staying clean.
So you're keeping your children away from that, by example,
Yes.
as much as anything. Let me ask you about another thing about your kids, and I'm in a similar position to you in some ways, the swearing.
Yes.
Because your children have grown up knowing that you have a certain profile on TV, and part of it is your no-nonsense attitude, and part of it is your love of robust language.
Yeah.
Do you mind hearing them swear? Do you swear in front of them at home?
I like to think it's an industry language. You know,
Yeah.
I've worked with some great chefs, from Marco to Albert Roux to Pierre Kaufman, and they are thoroughbreds.
Yeah.
So when they're pissed off, and I've made a mistake, you know, there's a naughty word that comes out.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
do I want Matilda and Jack walking around swearing? No, definitely not, no.
So do you tell them off at home when they swear when they're young, or do you let it go because you've got no ground to stand on, really?
I had no ground to stand on, and I think more importantly, they look at me and say, Dad, you knobhead, what are you playing at? They know it's not smart. They know, listen, you know what it's like. Kids today get distracted so much more than we did, so, you know, you don't need to listen to your parents, you know, using foul language. You just have to go on the internet. So, yeah, we're careful with that.
You also, and this is exciting news, because how many restaurants do you have globally now?
There's 27, soon to be 30 with Singapore and Macau.
Wow. And there's a new one that's just opened in London.
Yes.
And it's called the Headon Street Kitchen.
Yeah.
Is it any easier opening a new one? Is there a feeling of nerve still, or do you know in advance when you've got it right?
Oh, no. I mean, settling any restaurant down, however big, small, it takes a lot of work. So, yeah, critics come in, bloggers come in, and they're influential people. So, yeah, it takes a good 2.5 months to settle it down.
Do you ever get kind of people plaguing you or bothering you? Do you ever get that kind of setup? I mean, is there rivalry within the industry you suspect that people want to undermine you?
I think there's all that level of envy. Saturday was our first big day opening. We had 140 on the books, and we had 100 no-show. So someone was literally online, literally.
100 tables seats booked and no one turn up?
Yeah, not turn up.
Wow.
So, you know, you just...
So that's deliberate, deliberate
sabotage.
I think I might know who's behind that. Have a look at this. You see? There's proof. There's proof he has a phone. He has a telephone. We've established that much. Jamie wouldn't do that.
He wouldn't do that.
Heston might, but Jamie wouldn't. But you're not... Obviously, you can't cook in all those kitchens.
No.
So you oversee, I guess, the setting up, and do you pick the chefs?
Yeah, we train the chefs, and yeah, we work incredibly hard. Claire Smith at Royal Hospital Road again. I mean, MBE this year from the Queen and service to the industry. Extraordinary stuff.
Wow. And what have you got? You got an OBE or CBE?
No, OBE.
OBE.
What do you have?
Same as you, but they're rubbish. What you want to get is the CBE. Michael's got the CBE. Catherine's got the OBE. Michael, you got the CBE, didn't you?
Somewhere, yes.
That's the top one.
But, yes.
That is the top one.
Wow, is it? I thought, like, Sir.
Oh, that's higher, but you ain't getting that. Come on. Dream on, potty mouth. Arise, Sir Ramsey. Let's have a look. You know what? I miss the fact that you're going to be cutting down on your TV, because I've been a big fan, most genuinely, of Kitchen Nightmares, Hotel Hell, Kitchen Nightmares in the Sun, or whatever the new one's called. What's the new one called? Costa del Nightmares.
Costa del Nightmares.
Oh, OK.
It's in Spain.
OK, yeah, well, Spanish Hell, whatever you call it. Right. Love them all. But you're cutting down on most of them.
I needed to stop. I mean, 100 episodes in, 10 years, Channel 4 have been brilliant, and I just wanted to change, I think, really.
Well, I'll miss it, and what I'll miss as well is, because as Gordon got more into the show, you got more confident on camera. I always loved the show. It was always riveting viewing, and the team that put it together did a great job. But you got more comfortable with showing off your body as well, it seemed to me.
Really?
And in the hotel show, yeah, there was a lot of, I think, gratuitous Ramsey nudity.
Serious?
I've cut some of my favourite bits together.
No, come on.
So you can enjoy it. Check this out. This is what you're going to miss in the future.
Freezing. Look at this thing. Oh, it's like Danny DeVito's house. Water's freezing. Place stinks. Man, I'm on the moon. My ass.
I promise you now, that is not my ass.
That is you. We filmed that upstairs before the show with a hidden camera.
That's disgusting. Come
Gordon,
on.
great to have you here, as always. You going to stick around for the rest of the show?
Can I off now?
No. You going to stick around?
Of course I am.
Gordon's going to stick around. That great news, ladies and gentlemen. Still to come on the show, we have the fabulous Catherine Jenkins, Michael Palin and Kerry Mulligan's here. Not only that, we have music from Kasabian, so don't go away. Welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Gordon Ramsay's still right here, but we're going to get my next guest out. She is a multi-platinum album-selling, classical Brit-winning, Welsh-singing sensation. Please welcome Catherine Jenkins. carrying on.
Should I sit here?
Please, you go in between the two of us. That's the best place for you. Hey, well, I introduced you as Catherine Jenkins, but of course I know you're still using that as your professional name, but since last we met, you got married.
I did. I'm now Mrs. Levitas.
Catherine Levitas, ladies and gentlemen. Isn't that lovely?
No, it's not even been, well, it's 7 weeks, actually.
7 weeks?
Yes.
So you're not even arguing yet? That's lovely.
We still like each other right now.
And how are you finding married life?
I absolutely love it. It's the best thing ever.
Now, you're Welsh, as people have probably figured out.
Yeah.
He's an American gentleman.
He is. He's from New York.
And yet you got married here in England.
We got married at Hampton Court Palace.
Wow.
Yes, and we were very lucky because we were the first people allowed to be married in the state apartments there. So
Wow.
it felt very special.
Wow.
I think previously you can get married in the grounds or you could get married in the chapel if you fulfilled certain criteria. But we were the first to be allowed to marry within inside the palace, so that was amazing.
Let's go back to that lovely big shot there, the outside, because you can just see how exciting it is. But it's a shame no guests turned up. It's a lovely...
It was very, very small.
But here's the thing, I guess, you know, someone as high profile as you is getting married, and you want to keep it, to an extent, as private as you can, of course. And you got married, I don't know whether this was deliberate or not, or whether you planned this, but at the same time as George Clooney got married.
Yeah, thank God for George Clooney. It's all I can say. If I saw him, I would kiss him. I'm
so
sure
would we, so would we, wouldn't we? He's a good-looking man.
I've always said that I wouldn't want to sell my wedding. We got an offer to do that, but I just wanted to be a normal bride and groom, have the family, not be like a big showbiz thing. So when I saw that they were getting married on the same day as us, it was like brilliant, because hopefully now we've got a chance to do this.
The paparazzis were divided.
Yeah, everybody was looking that way at them, and we could do it in some kind of low-key way.
So you say, just out of interest, so you say you were offered money for the wedding. How much money were you offered?
I actually don't even know, because I never...
20 quid, 30 quid? I mean, give us a rough idea.
I don't know. We never went past
a lot of money, though. A lot of money.
Well, I mean, it's, you know, with these magazine deals, and by the way, there's nothing wrong with anybody else doing that. It's just that I didn't ever want any publicity from
Gordon
our
sold
wedding
his
day.
marriage to Anglers Weekly back in the day.
Stop.
He got 25 quid and some cod, didn't you? I remember that. Bargain. So you're Welsh, he's American, you get married in England. Were there... And he's a Jewish gentleman, I believe.
He is.
So did you have elements of his kind of family life in it? Were there Welsh elements in the wedding? How did you play that side of it?
We did. We sort of paid tribute to both of our backgrounds. So we were very lucky also to get permission to fly the Welsh flag above Hampton Court Palace, which is, again, never happened. But we got permission from the Queen, which was pretty amazing.
So you had to write to the Queen, or someone made a phone call to Liz? How does that work?
I don't know, but I did send flowers to say thank you.
I bet you did.
Oh, we also did... do you know what the horror is?
I do know what the horror is.
Do you know what the horror is? It's when, you know, you go in at, like, these big celebrations.
It's like they do it at big Jewish celebrations. They do it at bar mitzvahs, I believe, as well, don't they?
Yeah. So,
and the gentleman's held up.
So we wanted to do that because that's Andrew's background. So we went up in the chair in the dancing, and then all of a sudden my Welsh aunties started elbowing people out the way, like, I want to go in the chair, like this. And then the music finished, and one of the niece lot went back up to the DJ and said, play it again, I haven't had my turn yet in that floating chair dance.
They thought it was like musical chairs.
Yeah, they thought it was a ride for everybody.
Let me ask you a little bit more about this, if you don't mind. How did the wooing go? Did you woo him? Did he woo you? Was it a mutual wooing?
I think it was a mutual wooing.
And how did you woo?
That sounds funny with a Welsh accent. Well, I do a little bit of cooking. Obviously, nowhere near your standard.
Well, Catherine, he used to do a little bit of cooking as well back in the day. Gordon, you wooed Tana with cooking, didn't you? Isn't
Yes,
that
I did,
kind of the way to her heart was through the kitchen?
Yeah, she was actually dating a friend of mine, so I know. Well, he's no longer a friend, obviously, but they separated, and I went round to pick up my helmet and my bike. No, I used to park my bike in his garage.
Why would you say that your wife?
I finished work late one night, so I went to pick up my helmet and my bike in his garage. I knocked on the door, and Tana answered, and so sorry it was late, and you know, can I have my keys to my bike? And then she came on the back of the motorbike.
Wow.
Yeah.
is it me? Well, thank you for sharing that. Now, Catherine... OK, let's talk about you've got some new music coming out and you've recorded an album where some solo tracks, some duets with Alfie Boe and others, I believe, on there.
This is my 10th album, which I don't know where the time's gone.
It is Home Sweet Home, the new one from Catherine.
Yeah, it's out on Monday. And I'm just very, very... feel very blessed to have been given the opportunity to make 10. I've gone back to my classical roots, and so it's very similar to my first few albums in its style. And also back to the record company that signed me when I was a 23-year-old school teacher.
Wow.
So it's nice to be back with the original team.
And working with Alfie Boe, that must have been something. We had him on the show. What a lovely young man.
Oh, he's brilliant. We got to actually perform this live. We did the Barcelona duet, which inspired me, you know, as a young singer. Montserrat Caballé and Freddie Mercury, and Montserrat singing all those notes.
Incredible.
That this was something I wanted to record. We got to sing it recently at Edinburgh Castle for the Commonwealth Games.
A tough one to do live, the two of you together?
It's tough to do live because there are so many notes, and it's quite a big sing. And then secondly, in the rehearsal, the sunshine was out, and it was such a shame because Edinburgh Castle looked so gorgeous. And by the time we did the show, a day later, this fog had come in, and I couldn't even see Alfie. So it was quite hard to...
So is that thick a fog?
It was really, really thick there, so it was a little bit of a...
Do you sing, Gordon?
I'm terrible. Really? Seriously. Yeah, awful. Really bad.
Really?
I mean, yeah, no,
you don't fancy giving this a duet?
oh, God.
You put him on the spot with your challenge.
Yeah,
I think we can put you on the
Gordon,
spot.
come on. OK, so what are we going to do? We're going to do which...
OK, should we try it?
Yes.
Do you know Barcelona?
I know it. Amazing.
You've probably got several restaurants there, I imagine. Probably got a chip shop on the corner near that big church.
Well, why don't you two split the Freddie Mercury part?
OK.
So first we need to stand up.
Right.
OK, so let's stand up as if we're going to...
Right.
We're going to sing the Barcelona bit.
OK.
So you're going to go, Barcelona.
Right.
Every time you've got to think opera, so it's a love song, it's drama. I want you to perform it. OK? I'll help you.
Please.
Are you
Right. Are you going to start?
I'm going to sing the Barcelona bit with
We don't have a fan that could blow my hair back by magic.
Barcelona.
It was the first time that we met.
Barcelona.
How can I forget it? How can you forget that line?
The moment that you stepped into the room.
For the line you took my breath away. Barcelona! 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 No one else! Oh, I love you and someday. I'm running out of breath. You are as good as you said.
I'm so bad.
Good job.
Ramsey, you let yourself down.
Sorry.
You let Scotland down.
I can't sing. Honestly, I'm so sorry.
OK, so, yeah, I'm so thrilled it's going well for you. I've met you many times over the years, and I've always been struck by how charming and how sweet and how level-headed you are. And seeing you go to this level of success is marvellous. The one thing, and I want to ask you this, and I hope this doesn't feel like I'm intruding too much, but I know that your father was the huge supporter of you early in your career, early in your singing career, and, of course, he was taken from you too soon. He's not been around to see this. There must be moments when, even though you're enjoying the height of success, you stop and think about him and wonder how great it would have been to have him there.
Of course, you know, I was 15 when he passed away quite suddenly, and so that's why it spurs me on. I want to do well in his memory, and all my albums and stuff are dedicated to him, and I had his name sewn into my wedding dress when I walked down the aisle, so he walked down with me. So he was there.
Oh, that's the sweetest thing. It's a lovely thing to do. So lovely to have you. Catherine, will you stay with us on the couch?
Of course I will.
Catherine will stay with us. Gordon will stay with us. But ladies and gentlemen, for now, the lovely Catherine Jenkins. Thank you so much. That was lovely. Thank you. That was so lovely. Thank you. Stick around. OK, after the break, Michael Palin will be joining us. We also have the fabulous Kerry Mulligan and Kasabian performing live. Please don't go away. Thank you very much indeed. Let's get my next guest out, ladies and gentlemen. He is a comedian, an actor, an author, and everyone's dream travelling companion. Please welcome the incomparable Michael Palin. Michael, lovely to see you. Lovely to have you back in the country.
It's lovely to be here with such wonderful talent here.
Lovely, yeah. What a voice.
On this side, anyway. No.
Get it in.
You're an icon.
I'm a nice something.
Yeah.
You do as much travelling as you used to, less travelling these days. You've kind of put the travelling shows behind you, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing shorter and shorter shows because, I mean, the really long shows, I think the longest was Full Circle, was 10 months travelling, and it was 10 episodes. And with the book as well, it's 2 years of your life, totally taken up. But now I'm an ancient person, I'm 71, wow. And I don't want to be away from home for too long, just because I can lose my bearings.
In case you can't find your way home.
Can't find my way back, go to the wrong street.
But they have been, I mean, what an incredible success. And in a way, I mean, in terms of, just the reach you've had globally, I guess that's probably been the most successful thing in your career, the travel shows, would that be?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's interesting because people think Python, and Python was wonderful to do, but Python we never really got great ratings because a lot of people disapproved of it, especially the BBC who put it out, which is kind of ironic. But with the travel, it seemed to sort of, catch an imagination. I think a lot of people who watch my travel shows are people who just don't want to travel. And they see what I'm doing, they say, that's why we don't travel. And that is eating camel kidney. That's why we don't move. So I think that's why it got quite a big audience.
You've mentioned eating camel kidney. Of course, you've been given delicacies, local delicacies all over the world. Camel kidney being one of them. I'm sure you must have encountered some of these odd foods. What do you think is the worst thing you've eaten? What's the worst thing you've put in your mouth when you've been travelling?
I can't remember the name, but certainly he was ever so nice. No, from Coventry, I think. No, I think probably the camel kidney, because...
And what did it taste like? Was it comparable to anything else?
No, there's nothing wrong with camel, really. I mean, we were in a refugee camp in Algeria, and as everywhere around the world, the poorest people give you the most. They're wonderfully hospitable. And so they had got this camel, half a bit of a camel, to look after our sort of crew for a week. And by the last day, on the Friday, we left. And the lady said, please, there's one thing you must have before you go. And she handed me this kidney. It was the only bit we hadn't eaten. Oh, yeah. And as it came to up to my mouth, I smelt it, and this was off. This was definitely off. But she was smiling. So, probably, it would have been awful to have been in the...
Yeah, you couldn't
behind me, so I ate it. And honestly, I then had to go off and interview some guerrilla leader in the desert. And I had to stop the entire cavalcade, all our vehicles, so I could throw up in the desert.
That's not good.
It wasn't good, but actually it was rather spectacular. It was a great one. Wow! Yeah. Barry Humphries called a technicolor yawn. It really
shame they didn't catch it on film for us. We could have enjoyed that.
No, yes. Well, the interesting thing was that all my crew were very embarrassed for me, and they kind of looked like that. And I actually felt really rotten. And one guy, perhaps the oldest guy in the convoy, one of our guides from this refugee camp, just came up to me and gave me some water and just put his cool hand on my forehead. I thought that was great. Lovely. I was very moved.
Much of this is in the book. Michael Palin's Travelling to Work. It's the collection. This is the latest volume of your diaries, and this is 1988 to 1998. Fabulously interesting years in your career and in your life, because Python was over, essentially, and and at the time, I guess you thought it would never resurface, because the films you were making plans for the films, weren't you? Still,
we were always making plans. Let's do this, let's do that. But I mean, this diary in 1998, which is about the last entry, is about how the idea comes up to play Las Vegas. Let's do a big Python reunion, and we all decide no, we can't agree. Everyone's bitching at each other, so it never gets made. So it's rather extraordinary that last year, or this year, it should have been resurfaced again.
And how did that...
There's a whole Python sort of subtext going through all that, of people disagreeing. And we were, when we get together on stage and do the jokes and perform the stuff, it's great. I mean, that's what we're good at. We make each other laugh, and we hope to make an audience laugh. All the rest of the stuff, the business, how many wives you should have, all that sort of thing, we can never agree on that.
Do you have a consensus on the whole wife number issue? Because John's kind of outdoing the rest of you, isn't he?
John has definitely set the pace. And myself and Terry Gilliam particularly have been very, very laggardly.
Lacking behind it.
And, you know, I've been married to the same woman for 48 years.
Wow.
John keeps telling me,
yes, well done, Michael.
too much. It's like some incredible achievement. It is on my wife's part.
Although, to be fair, you've been travelling for 24 of those years, so, you know.
That's right, yeah.
I get the feeling from reading the book and from looking from the outside in, and I've always been a devoted fan of Monty Python, but I get the feeling that John can be, I think, quite a difficult guy for some people to work with, or work around. You seem to have a very close relationship. You seem to have the closest relationship with him of the Pythons. Is that, am I wrong there, or...?
No, I mean, I suppose we have a very close relationship, which began very early on in 1969, when John rang me up, and Terry Jones and myself had just made a series called The Complete and Utter History of Britain. You're too young, you wouldn't have seen it. But it was, you know, I thought it was quite funny, but John rang up and said, I've just seen your series, The Complete and Utter History of Britain. And he said, you won't be making any more of those, will you? And then he said, why don't we just get together? And we've seen, you know, the work you do with Eric Idle and Terry and Terry Gilliam, and I'd like to bring Graham Chapman on board. Let's do something that's quite different. And it was a conversation between the two of us, I suppose, which really got Python going.
The reunion show, obviously, yes. Graham, what a huge success. I mean, was there a moment when you thought it might not be as well received as it was? Because
I mean, it was pure terror beforehand. I mean, none of us really realised we'll be able physically to survive one show, let alone 10. I mean, really, we had very little rehearsal time, actually. And there was song and dance and all that sort of stuff, and we thought, is that really Python? Is that what people will come to see? But it all just came together on the opening night, and there were 15,000 people there who just wanted to see us all. And there was just, you felt from the very beginning, so long as we don't cock it up, it'll be a good show, you know, because they're really there. And it was a very nice feeling. And as I say, doing the sort of sketches together on a stage, that's where we started, making each other laugh, before we were famous, before all this bullshit about being legends and all that sort of thing. We were doing Dead Parrot. And look at us in our 70s selling parrots to John again. It's just sad, really.
You're back on our screens, not in a travel show, but acting in a straight part. In a new drama called Remember Me, which is something of a departure for you, I think, this role.
It is indeed, yeah. It was, for a start, the character I play is in his 80s. I was a bit miffed when I turned up, and they said, no, that's what I'm going to do about makeup. They said, oh, you won't need any. We've got a few ravines and rivulets there. But he's quite an interesting character, because he's a haunted man. It's a ghost story, actually. It's a very frightening ghost story.
Well, look, I haven't seen it yet, because they haven't given me all the episodes. But I've seen one. I saw the first part, and I thought it was excellent. I want to show you a clip, and you can see this. Even from this, you can see it's quite scary stuff. It starts on Sunday the 23rd, I believe, of November.
Yeah.
It's called Remember Me. It's on BBC One, but look at this.
I'm an old man. I'm tired. I want to go to sleep.
Well, I'll sing you a lullaby if you like.
All the same to me if you do or you don't.
Where are you going to, Sky?
Shut up! Just shut up! How dare you bring that out of my house?
I didn't. I put it back in the piano stool, honestly. I did.
You brought it away in your heart. Now you can never take it back.
That looks great, doesn't it? How many episodes are there in the front?
Scary stuff. There are 3 episodes.
Just 3, okay.
Yeah.
So it looks great. So, Python Tour, huge success. And they're obviously, inevitably, I believe, have been requests for you to go on with it, to do more, to travel with it. But I read this week that you're not going to tour with it. You're not going to do any more.
Well, we said this right from the beginning, actually, that we would do 10 shows. And we'd make them really good. We'd do them just in London, place where Python began, and that would be it. And the last one would be, you know, in cinemas right around the world and all that sort of thing. And that would be it. Because otherwise, you know, New York was asking, Sydney was asking, Germany wanted us to do that. We just kept together for about 10 shows.
Yeah.
Kept speaking to each other and being fairly civil. After that, I think people have got very bored. But that was definitely the way we were going to do it.
That is a reality show I'd like to watch. It's a camera in a room where you guys go on tour again and are forced to perform for like a year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, it could happen. It was all about mortgages and John's wives and all that. So, I mean, I might need one, you know, for sort of my sort of knee operation or something like that. Oh, let's do a few more shows, yeah. Well, like a kitchen extension, yeah.
It's a pleasure to have you as always.
Lovely.
Continued success. I can't wait for the ghost story, and I hope you come back when the next volume is out, covering the next 10 years. Michael Palin, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Stick around, ladies and gentlemen. After the break, we'll be joined by Carey Mulligan, and there's music, as I promised, from the fabulous Kasabian. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Let's get my next guest out there. She's one of our brightest young actors, from a BAFTA-winning performance in An Education to her roles in Shame and The Great Gatsby. She's always an incredible screen presence. Will you please welcome Carey Mulligan.
I know, finally.
Carey, come and sit down here. Finally. Great to see you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
You look so different every time I see you. I mean, the hair's different. I guess you are changing yourself for different roles, different parts you're playing?
Yeah, well, kind of, yeah. I also just sort of decided to wear my pyjamas tonight.
I like it. It's what we call a
Painfully aware
onesie,
of
I believe.
now.
Is it a onesie or a pantsuit?
It's a onesie.
It's a onesie.
Yeah.
Do you find that it helps... do you find that you don't get recognised as much when you're changing your hair colour, when you're changing the way you look? Is that
I
part of
never,
it?
ever got recognised, and then, which is a good thing, and then I cut a fringe, and then suddenly that became weirdly recognisable.
Fringe, was that for The Great Gatsby, or was it...
No, it was like a couple of weeks ago, just because I thought...
Suddenly you look like you again.
Yeah, weirdly.
Yeah. It's a weird thing. So you're now growing out the fringe, I guess.
I'm desperately, growing out the fringe.
Maybe you could give Gordon some advice, because he's hair is... When people do recognise you, what do they most want to talk to you about? Which of your film roles or your stage performances are they most keen to engage you with?
I think people are quite... Well, apparently there's a set of us that look quite similar. So I was in a taxi. When I was doing a play over the summer, I got in a taxi, and the taxi driver went, "Oh, my God, you're that actress." And I was like, "Oh, yeah." And then he went, "Yeah, man, in that film with Ryan Gosling." And I was like, "Yeah, yeah." He was like, "Oh, Michelle Williams, you are so good." I was like, no, I'm in the other one. And then he went through the whole plot of The Notebook to try and pin me as great as I can. And then finally I was like, no.
So secretly he was just a major Ryan Gosling fan.
That's what it was, yeah.
But you were with him in Drive, of course. That's an incredible film.
Thanks.
Have you guys seen the film Drive?
I haven't, no.
Oh, wow, it's incredible. Yeah. Only a few people have obviously seen it, but those who have... But no, what a great...
It's a kind of kooky film.
And how is it working with the Gos, the baby goose?
Gos, yeah, I mean, it's good. My role in that film was just to stare at him a lot. There you go. Yeah.
There you are,
that
staring.
was my job for a month, so...
So when you're... I mean, because you're offered, I imagine you're offered kind of more mainstream fare all the time, and you've made a deliberate choice not to do that. So what's driving you? What are you looking for in terms of your career, or just in terms of doing what you do?
I just really like, great characters and great stories, and whoever the director is or however the size or scale of the production is sort of irrelevant. But I've been really lucky. I've had great opportunities, and I get to do plays, and I get to also take time off, which is so amazing.
Talking about plays, I didn't see you on stage. I wish I had. You were on stage with Bill Nighy in Skylight. Which was last summer, and you're doing that, you're reprising that in New York next year, is that right? OK, that must be quite something, working with something like Bill on stage.
Yeah, that was amazing. Yeah, and he'd actually done the play, that same play, 18 years before and played the same role, so he knew all the words, which was quite intimidating.
He had no rehearsing to do. But once again, a very intense role, as I understand it. I'm going to try and go and see it in New York, and there was cooking involved on stage.
There was cooking. I had to cook.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was it?
Spaghetti bolognese. It's really hard, though. I mean, I actually have a really weird thing that I just have to say. That my father was a hotel manager, and the first
hotel, but he was a residential hotel manager. And when I was born, we lived in the Mayfair. And it was when you were there.
Oh, wow.
Working as the
big
big chef.
Yeah, wow. Wow,
and
wow,
so
wow.
you once made a club sandwich for my brother. So I
Wow.
just kind of felt like I had to share.
Well, that was my first ever job.
Was
At the
it?
Mayfair. Yeah, I got taken on as a second commie grade 2, and
That's so
yeah,
cool.
first position was in room service, getting my ass kicked.
Yeah,
So I
making club sandwiches.
I used to take my
club.
frustration out on those club sandwiches.
You don't want to know what that means. Did Mr. Mulligan speak highly of Mr. Ramsay?
Mr. Mulligan spoke very highly of... Yeah, when I said I was doing this, he said, oh, you must tell him about the club sandwiches.
Well, in many ways, it was all downhill for Gordon after that. You know that. Yeah, but I believe, am I right in thinking that you hadn't really cooked much before the play,
No.
and you kind of, it was a learning curve on stage?
Well, because it was a very wordy play, so there was lots of lines to learn. And then I had to learn how to cook, which I don't really. And then there were countless disasters when I was on stage with the gas not working, so I had to do a whole raw spaghetti bolognese one night.
Wow.
And it's great, because, you know, usually in the play, you know, I cook through the first act, so you get the smell of onions and meat, and, it's, you know, the audience sort of get quite hungry, which is not great. And I had to open tins on stage in the middle of an argument, so I was opening tins and then, you know, screaming at Bill, and then one night slammed my hand down on the table to, you know, do some real acting and hit the tin and sliced my hand open. And then I could sort of, you know, I was kind of in the middle of it, so I didn't really, but I could feel sort of liquid, and my hand started to sort of fill up, and I cupped my hand like that so that the blood would fill up into a little pile. And just it was like 7 minutes till the end of the act, and I just sort of thought, I can't let the audience will just be, that'd be so weird for the audience to suddenly see me bleeding everywhere. So I just sort of kept it behind my back.
What a pro. What a pro.
And then when it finished, I sort of just threw it off stage. And then the lights
On to the audience. Here's something for you to sell on eBay later on. OK, let me ask you about the reason you've come on here, because there is a reason. You're involved in War Child, which is a charity I've known about for years, and I know the work they do is so important. Tell me how you got involved with them.
Well, my brother used to be in the army, and he was stationed in Afghanistan. And when he was there, he heard about a local girls' school that had been closed down because the Taliban had poisoned their well. So they had no clean drinking water, so the girls couldn't go to school. And so my brother, just completely off his own sort of initiative, decided to start raising money for the school. So he got, you know, lots of my parents fundraising, and my future sister-in-law and all of our friends, and he got all this money. But it was all raised in England, and he had no way of getting it to the school because it's all very complicated, bringing money across the border, obviously. And he wrote to War Child, and they just said yes immediately and took the money and got it to the school, and the school reopened, and, you know, happy ending. And they were just extraordinary. And so when that happened, we started talking to them, and I've been kind of chatting to them for a year or so now, just to sort of really find out what they do. And it's been amazing just to get to know what they do as a charity. So they work with children in conflict, and they protect and educate children in some of the most difficult places to live in the world. And yeah, that was my sort of way in, but now I just think I couldn't think higher of them.
So you're an ambassador for them, and
Yeah.
you work for them as well. And you've travelled out to some of the areas they work in.
I went on my first trip, I went to the Democratic Republic of Congo about a month ago to go and see the stuff that they do out there.
And what was your impression of the people you met there? How did you feel about the kids you met in particular?
The kids were amazing. You know, they're wonderful. It's an incredibly difficult place to live. You know, there's an awful statistic. 1 in 6 children in the DRC won't see their 5th birthday. But the children there are extraordinary, and the work that War Child is doing there is just amazing. They're so brilliant at being... They engage with each child on a personal level, and they try to follow children's stories throughout. So they don't just go in and do a quick fix with someone, or, you know, throw some aid. They take a child and they really nurture them and try and rebuild their lives.
So they're there for support later on as well.
Yeah.
It was interesting what you said. It was kind of your brother and your brother's involvement in the help that needed to be done out there that got you involved in War Child. But isn't he the reason you act as well? Wasn't he the actor in the family earlier?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, my brother was in... We lived in Germany when we left after living with Gordon. And we went to the International School of Dusseldorf, and my brother got into the school play. They did a production of The King and I. But I was 6, and I think I was sort of 2 years too young, and he was in it. And we went to go and watch him in rehearsals one day, and I thought, I don't remember thinking this, but apparently I just burst into tears because I was devastated that I couldn't be in it. And I made such a fuss that they just let me come on stage, and then that was my first
Hold
play.
on, you got allowed on stage even though you didn't have a part?
Yeah, they kind of, you know, I became one of the kids, and, you know, there's millions of them in that play.
I never knew you were such a diva.
I know. I know. That was my way in.
OK, lovely to have you here. Thank you so much for coming on and talking about War Child, but also your career as well. Thank you to all my guests, ladies. And for now, the lovely Carey Mulligan. Thank you so much. And as I said, thanks to all my guests tonight. Thank you, Gordon. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Carey. Next week on the show, I'll be joined here by the fabulous Lee Evans. Noel Gallagher will be here, Sheila Hancock and Jack Whitehall. There's also music from the all-conquering Boyzone. But now, with Stevie, here they are. It's Kasabian.
Dreamt a little bigger. I'm sick and tired of this. If you show us what we can have, so what did you expect when we take it back from you? 'Cause no joke, come on, open up your eyes wide. I feel it coming, but you can't hide. I wanna make you see that. And all I can say, live to fight another day, live to fight again. And all I can say, live to fight another day, you live to fight again. Try.
And Jonathan's back next Saturday at the slightly later time of 10:45. Well, here tomorrow night.